Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to talk a little Bucks basketball. Steve Sparky Fifier from 105.7 The Fan in Milwaukee, co-host of the Wendy's Big Show in the afternoon from 2 to 6, and host of the Pick and Save basketball post-game show after Bucks games. He, of course, Gery Woelfel from the Racine Journal-Times. And prior to doing this video, Gary, you tweeted out that the Bucks are going to sign Kenyon Martin. They're going to waive Nate Walters, according to the people that you've talked to so far today. Thoughts on that transaction?
Horrible decision. I mean, in the big picture, it's insignificant. Nate Walters wasn't really doing much for the Bucks at this point.
Playing.
And right, exactly. And so you can say, okay, let him go. But you bring in a 38-year-old power forward who most of the people I talked to in the NBA said lost his game 3 years ago. There's nothing there. If he was brought in because he's a friend of Jason Kidd, it's just a horrible, horrible move. And the other thing that really gnaws at me, two things. They always talk about how this is a youth movement. They want to bring guys. You know what? They got a guy that could potentially have been a really good quality backup guy for the next 10 years, Nate Walters. I'm not saying he's a starter by any stretch. Secondly, the chemistry issue. The Bucks have the best chemistry in the NBA, maybe next to the Golden State Warriors. I mean, this team is overachieving. They're playing well. They're playing basketball the right way. Everybody gets along. And all of a sudden they're going to bring in Kenyon Martin, who's about as cynical as they come, who's, I don't know. To me, it just didn't make sense.
Like I said before, last time we talked about Kenyon Martin, he's going to be an extension of Kidd. So I don't really worry about him being a bad apple because he's going to be...
I understand it's a bad apple, but it's bringing in a different personality into the locker room.
Sure. Now, having said that, let's just go from this standpoint. Who would you... I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it now. Who would you rather have had, Kenyon Martin or Jeff Adrian, who just got cut?
Jeff Adrian.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
And I agree with you on that. So I have no issue cutting Nate Walters because clearly you weren't going to play him anyhow. So let him go find a team where he can actually play and be productive with somebody else. I have no issue with that whatsoever. My issue is now you had a second alternative in Jeff Adrian, who did show that he can play in this league when given minutes. Again, it was a garbage season, 15 wins. I get that. But at least he showed he could be physical and he can be a guy that can grab rebounds. Kenyon Martin hasn't necessarily been that guy in the last couple of years as far as being that physical guy that can go get 10, 12 rebounds.
That's one of the biggest fallacy. Everybody thinks he's this big, tough, power forward type. But if you go back and look at his numbers, he's never been an exceptional rebounder. He's been a decent rebounder, at times a good rebounder, but never a great rebounder. So now you're coming in at age 38 and you're saying, hey, this is the guy that's going to help us? I don't know.
Now, we'll see. I mean, we're going to see how this whole thing plays out. The other thing it sets up is if Kenyon Martin does good in these first 10 days or whatever it is.
And that's a good thing. It's a 10-day contract.
10-day contract.
So they can blow it off.
So if it goes well, what does that then set up for the next move going forward for this Bucks team? Because immediately when the news came out Kenyon Martin was going to come to the Bucks this morning, the first tweet I got was, well, does this mean John Henson is in trouble? Does this speak of John Henson? And I don't think it does. I think it speaks more so the fact that Ersan still has that concussion issue.
Right.
And they don't want to play Johnny O'Brien because he's the young guy. He'd rather have a vet in there because it's about winning now and getting a better playoff seed. That's the mode they're in right now. That's why the trade deadline in February is going to be very, very, very interesting to see what they do. Will they sit on their hands like they should, or will they get aggressive and go try to add a piece or two that is about winning now and not about winning in the future? Because Kenyon Martin is about now, it's not about the future.
No question, at 38.
Right.
I mean, he's got to be one of the oldest guys, if not oldest guys in the NBA. But they got two things hanging over their head. Ersan's concussion, as you just said, and Larry Sanders. I mean, it might come to a point in this situation where they flat out waive him like the Pistons did with Josh Smith. That would not shock me at all.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. But, you know, something, who knows? Maybe they'll resolve it in a buyout or whatever. But it would not totally shock me if that occurred. So,
might as well
with those two.
Jermaine O'Neal is old. Why don't we go get Jermaine O'Neal to replace Larry Sanders?
You know what? I would have been happy with Jermaine O'Neal because he could play some center.
He can.
And I think there's something left in Jermaine O'Neal. As far as Kenyon Martin, no.
See, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I like the fact that he's friends with Kidd, so I don't worry about him coming in and being a problem in the locker room. And that is the one thing. And like we talked about, it's 10 days. It's short. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work chemistry-wise, Jason can move on and go, Kenyon, thanks a lot. Got your paycheck for a few days and see you later. If it does work out, he does fit into this locker room, then they can sign him for the rest of the year if they want, and then figure out what they're going to do with the rest of the roster.
And you know what? I'm not so much opposed about bringing Kenyon Martin in, except now if they give him minutes. If they give him 15, 20 minutes a game.
Has to get that much.
Okay, if he does, and I'm sure that was part of the agreement.
Right.
What does that do to Henson's minutes?
Doesn't touch Henson's minutes because Henson's playing center. Johnny O'Brien loses minutes. That's what's going to happen. Kenyon, now we'll see.
So will he move into the starting lineup now? Kenyon Martin's going to be
yes.
that start.
Yes.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Yes. I think so.
Instead of develop, this is a perfect time to develop these young guys.
I don't disagree, but again,
especially O'Brien. I think O'Brien has a chance to not be a starter.
This is the same thing we went through with Herb. I mean, this is no different. We're trying to win right now. So okay, fine, we're going to win right now and get in the playoffs. And that obviously is what they're doing. And I can't say I'm all that surprised by it. Heck, I don't think what White Butler told me. When they hired Jason Kidd, he goes, that's not happening. They're not going to try and lose with Jason Kidd. He's coming here to win under all circumstances. And that's fine. So Kenyon Martin's going to play. Johnny O'Brien's going to watch, would be my guess. It may not happen in game one, but that's where this is going to go.
Right.
And then when Ersan comes back, now Jason Kidd can determine, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to start Ersan or Kenyon Martin? But now I can bring the other one off the bench. And again, this is with Larry Sanders out of the picture. My sevens are still Zaza and Henson going forward. Mm-hmm. And if we decide to part ways with Sanders, I'm set at power forward with two vets. I'm set at center as well. So my roster is set if we decide to part ways with Larry.
See, again, it comes back to development. I would rather spend this time developing O'Brien, John Henson.
Don't disagree.
Just give them big minutes.
I agree.
Instead of bringing in a guy that you might let go in 10 days.
I don't think they will.
I agree.
I think it's with them the rest of the way.
I totally agree.
And we'll see. In the Larry Sanders situation, it'll be interesting. As I said on the big show, at some point you want to help the guy as much as you can, right? Because everybody has a heart, everybody cares. But then at another stage, as a business, you have to make a business decision. And how long it will take for the Bucks to make a business decision to part ways and move on from Larry Sanders, don't know.
And maybe
they don't. Maybe they hold on to him for the entire contract and continue to work with Larry Sanders. Maybe that'll be their decision that they make. I wouldn't. If it was me, I'd be working on a buyout and I'd be trying to get out of this. If it was me. Now, I have less patience than most people. So from that perspective, that shouldn't shock me.
I'm pretty sure they're working on a buyout as we speak. But, the question is Sanders going to take anything less than the $44 million that is owed to him right now?
Well, his agent let him.
Yeah, and I say no. So, they've got a real dilemma here. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do with this case.
Here's Gery Woelfel. I'm Steve Sparky Fifier. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Sports Junkies, talking a little Bucks basketball. We'll talk to you next week. Same place, same website, racinesportszone.com. Ta-ta.